Argenti just came out in Honkai Star Rail, and a lot of players have been interested to see how he compares to the other DPS characters in the game. So today, I'm going to go over his strengths and weaknesses to see how he measures up against the existing DPS characters. So starting out with his strengths here, you have pretty much two main things for his strengths. The first one being that he has amazing damage against multiple enemies, specifically those like 3 to 5 enemy fights, because the more enemies that Argenti fight, the better that his stuff is going to scale, and the more he's going to get energy, so you can get that really powerful ultimate with him, which is really like the main aspect of his gameplay. Which kind of leads me to the other strength that he has, is that his gameplay is very simple. Because a lot of other characters, when you're using them, there's like certain things you'll have to keep in mind. Like for example, for like Ibaibader Lune, you got to keep track of your skill points to make sure you can use his like level 3 enhanced basic attack. And then for Jingliu, you got to keep track of her stacks. For Blade, you have the like 5 follow-up attack charges that you'll want to try to bring up. So yeah, things like that. For characters, for like other DPSs, they have to like keep track of them. For Argenti, it's pretty much just build up his energy. You're going to be using his skill pretty much all the time. So you can try to get to that maximum energy of 180, which is a lot for sure. But because his kit does give him extra energy, he is able to get energy back pretty fast. And he also is pretty easy to build. You're pretty much just going to run the physical set on him. I haven't fully looked at like planar ornaments and stuff yet for him, because honestly I haven't done as much testing as I would have liked to, since I have not found that many Argentis, like usable Argentis on the friends list, since I'm not pulling for him. So I'm trying to figure that out for myself. But yeah, definitely fairly easy to build overall. I have heard that some people are using energy regen ropes on him to try to get up to that 180 energy faster. I'm not sure if that's better or worse than just like an attack percent rope, but I'll figure that out down the line as well. So yeah, those are his main 2 strengths, which I think is very interesting, compared to other characters, because I know a lot of other characters will have more things you have to take into consideration. And of course, depending on like the supports and whatnot that you're using with Argenti, you might have to do like some speed tuning with him, but that's probably the most like complicated thing that Argenti is gonna have. And then for Argenti's weaknesses, or really just his one weakness, is he doesn't perform as well in fights that only have a couple enemies, like those one enemy fights, 2 enemy fights, because Argenti's talent is able to, while it's able to increase his energy and crit rate, the amount that it raises it by is based on the amount of enemies that are being hit. So if you have a fight with 5 enemies, because it's his stacks go up to 10, fighting 5 enemies, you get that in 2 attacks with Argenti with his skill. But if you're fighting 1 enemy, you gotta do 10 actions, which sure, you might have him like fast enough to do 2 actions per cycle, but it's still gonna take a long time if you're only fighting 1 enemy to get that maximum extra crit rate and energy, and that energy recharge as well for him. So Argenti, he does do some solid damage even against like single targets, but you're really not gonna want to use him in single target situations, I feel like, over other characters like Ibaibader Lune, Jingliu, and other DPSs like that, whose damage doesn't focus on how many characters that they're fighting, but can still do good damage whether they're fighting like 1 character or 3 characters or 5 characters. So yeah, Argenti, he does end up being a little niche, which I think is a little bit of a weakness, but it's not really that bad, which is gonna transition us into how long I think Argenti can be good, because I do think he is good, but I think that as long as, for the end game of Honkai Star Rail, as long as it keeps focusing on fights that have 3 to 5 enemies, Argenti's going to stay relevant for a while, because that is where he excels. Now, different, turbulence buffs for Memory of Chaos are going to change how good he might be in specific cycles of Memory of Chaos, but I do think that as long as we're fighting a lot of enemies, he'll still do some very solid damage. And if you're fighting physical enemies, even better, so you can get that weakness break on them. Now, he may end up falling behind over time compared to like other newer characters, or characters that might get better with specific supports over time, but that's kind of just the lifestyle of a DPS character, because those characters are not built to stand the test of time that often, since when when a new DPS just does more damage or is easier to use and does more damage than a previous DPS, people are going to not want to use the previous one anymore because they're just not putting up the numbers. So that is something that will happen eventually. We have seen a little bit in Star Rail with certain DPSs, like we've seen Yang Zheng just fall off a cliff because of the state of the endgame being with multiple enemies and having a lot of like CC and whatnot. But yeah, we'll see how that happens with Argenti, but I do think overall he is a very strong character, and while I'm not going to be pulling for him, he is going to be very easy to use, and plus for an early game player, I do think that, he would be a good start for a DPS, but depending on what you're looking for your account, if you don't need just a regular damage dealer that doesn't have any other, niche besides the multi-target attacks, then it might be better to just hold off on pulling for him. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you all think about Argenti, and if you pulled him as well, definitely let me know as well. I did do a multi on the banner to get Hanya, and I did, which was awesome. So I am in the process of building her, and I'll have a video out for her, for what I think of her performance-wise, probably early next week. But with that, everyone, I'm going to end it off here. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed and you haven't already, definitely be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell. But with that, I will see you all next time.